I would like to welcome our graduates and their families to the Brown Department of Psychiatry and Human Behavior's 45th Annual Graduation Celebration. We wish we could be together to celebrate your accomplishments as friends and colleagues, but truthfully, a graduation ceremony is soon forgotten. What is not forgotten is the fact that you will be moving on from what must seem like interminable years of education to your first real job, the time when you begin to take charge of your own life. It's when you get to decide what's important to you and the values you want to live by. Part of your training experience has been learning that the faculty you have looked up to don't have all the answers. Now, the responsibility for making the world a better place has shifted to you. We have not faced a challenge that has altered our lives like COVID-19 since World War II. With the U.S. death toll over 100,000 in just 3 months and the unemployment rate approaching 20%, it is clear that the greatest country on earth can be humbled by a single strand of RNA. We are reminded of the frailty of human existence as well as our place in the larger scheme of things. As behavioral health care professionals, we will play an essential role in helping others get through this period of uncertainty and adversity. Our expertise in managing stress, sharing loss and grief with others, and building resilience will be called on frequently in the coming months and years. Going forward, your ability to adapt to a rapidly changing environment will be tested. There is no more important mission of our department than to train the next generation of psychologists and psychiatrists. Each of you has benefited from the rich collegial interactions you have formed with fellow interns, postdoctoral fellows, and residents. The relationships you have made as a trainee at Brown will be among the most important you will develop during your entire professional careers. You are now part of a distinguished group of graduates that represent the Brown Department of Psychiatry and Human Behavior. As you prepare to move forward to new positions and roles, we hope that your time at Brown has been formative in developing your character and values, as well as your knowledge and experience. In times like these, we are forced to reassess our values and where we can continue to find meaning in our work and in our relationships. I hope that each of you has found mentors at Brown who will inspire you to instill hope in your patients, and that you will strive to treat each patient and their family as you would like to be treated. I hope that you decide to ground yourself in values that last, like honesty, hard work, responsibility, fairness, generosity of spirit. For those of you who will be staying in Rhode Island, we look forward to you joining us as colleagues. For those of you who are leaving Rhode Island, we are certain you will make Brown University and our department proud of your accomplishments. Over the next 30 years, you will contribute to a remarkable transformation in the way we conceptualize and treat mental illness. I hope that each of you will find a lifetime of meaningful work in helping others recover from mental illness. I know I speak for the entire faculty in acknowledging that each and every one of you has already achieved distinction by representing our department's mission of excellence in clinical care, research, education, community service, and patient advocacy. Congratulations to the graduates of 2020 and their families. May safe journeys and good fortune lie ahead for each of you, wherever your path may lead.
I am thrilled to present Dr. Olivares with the Outstanding Teaching Award. Everyone who has worked with him knows that he is exceptional. We get to work with him on the inpatient unit, and he is an astute psychopharmacologist and therapist. He takes the time to explain his reasoning and is always open to trying new approaches based on current evidence. Dr. Olivares' teaching extends beyond his clinical excellence in traditional teaching roles. He is also very intentional about teaching you to care for the entire unit, including managing the unit staff and managing your own countertransference. However, I think the most important lesson that Dr. Olivares imparts every day is his commitment to treating his patients in the way that we would want our own family to be treated. On the first day he meets a patient, he sincerely tells them that he will treat them with dignity and respect, and then he proceeds to do exactly that. Working with Dr. Olivares reminds you about why you wanted to be a doctor, and we are delighted to recognize his excellent teaching and outstanding character.
I am entirely sure that Dr. Joseph Friedman does not have room on his CV for any further accolades. For decades, this neurologist has been a nationally and internationally recognized expert in movement disorders, has authored over 400 publications, has been involved in many of the instrumental clinical trials that have advanced this field, and has made many intentional steps to develop a clinical staff, including doctors, nurses, and trainees alike, to be able to recognize and treat patients suffering from Parkinson's disease. Despite Dr. Friedman's celebrity, he is a relentlessly devoted educator, accepting trainees from neurology, psychiatry, and geriatric psychiatry, among others, onto his service. He has an incredible gift of making nearly every moment a teaching moment, while effortlessly balancing a busy patient schedule and letting his trainees benefit from both observation and autonomy. Throughout my rotation with Dr. Friedman, I learned a fair bit about psychiatry, more about neurology, and most about the art of doctoring. On behalf of the Geriatric Psychiatry Fellowship Program, this year's Geriatric Psychiatry Excellence in Teaching Award is deservingly awarded to Dr. Joseph Friedman. Dr. Friedman, thank you for your service.
It is my honor to present the Henrietta Leonard Award in Child Psychiatry to Dr. Elizabeth Lowenhaupt. I could spend hours listing off Dr. L's work and accomplishments, like working as the medical and psychiatric director of the Rhode Island Training School, creating a mental health home for children involved in juvenile justice and child welfare, working on countless national projects and committees. And you would be impressed by her fierce dedication to improving children's lives and the systems that shape them. And she would be embarrassed because she's extremely humble and always wants to give most of the credit to the teams that she has built. But I want to make sure you know what an amazing educator she is. This is Dr. Lowenhaupt's final year as Associate Program Director of our Child Psychiatry and Triple Board programs. And in the last 12 years, she has made an indelible mark on the culture and teaching within both. She has helped to reinvigorate didactic teaching, created a robust and unique child forensics rotation, made sure that we have the most dedicated supervisors and best clinic structure in which to learn from our patients. She is always available to talk through difficult patient situations or heartbreaking personal ones. On a personal note, she has been my mentor for the last 9 years and has shaped the doctor and person I am in ways I'm only beginning to realize. Her passion for and fierce dedication to helping some of the most vulnerable children is inspiring, as is her commitment to bringing learners from all disciplines along with her in that work. We are lucky to get to continue to work with her and witness the change that she creates.
On the final day of my rotation at the OCD partial program, which happened to be Halloween, Dr. Gould showed up in a full regalia Snow White costume. I had grown to expect this level of commitment from Dr. Gould, but was unsure what Gloria Hahn, a fellow psychology resident and newcomer to the rotation, would make of this. It turns out that Gloria and I have since reflected on our mutual feeling that Dr. Gould's Snow White costume is emblematic of her spirit, enthusiasm, and intentionality. Much like her Snow White costume, Dr. Gould does most things all the way, with extreme passion, dedication, and warmth. Her commitment to teaching and supervising is no exception. Before providing me with training in DBT, Dr. Gould asked for me to commit to being all in, which I considered thoughtfully and then agreed wholeheartedly, knowing that I could not be in better hands. In discussing our desire to nominate Dr. Gould for this award and our overwhelming gratitude for the opportunity to learn from her, Gloria and I identified a shared perspective that Dr. Gould generously shares her expertise to complement her trainees' growth, while also remaining open and eager to learn from us as well. In brief, Dr. Gould's effusive energy and enthusiasm are infectious and merit recognition. It is my absolute honor and privilege to announce this year's winner of the Toy Caldwell Colbert Excellence in Teaching Award to a colleague and dear friend, Dr. Andrea Gould.
Good afternoon. My name is Yossi Burlow. I'm one of the graduating residents, and today it is my distinct honor to be presenting this year's winner of the Psychiatry Research Mentor Award. Each year, the psychiatry residents choose to recognize a faculty member who exhibits outstanding research mentorship. This year's winner has been the primary research mentor for over a dozen medical students, residents, and junior faculty here at Brown. He is well known to the residents for his neuroscience lectures, which include building brains out of colored Play-Doh to learn neuroanatomy, and learning about an unfortunate reaction to spoiled kimchi in his lecture on PTSD. The research residents know him as the co-director of the NIMH-sponsored research training program, and as one of his mentees in this program, I'm especially excited to be announcing him for this award. So please join me in congratulating this year's winner of the Research Mentor Award, Dr. Noah Phillip.
It is my absolute honor to present the Excellent Mentor Award to Dr. Nicole Nugent. I nominated Dr. Nugent because she is an inspiring trauma researcher. Her research questions are incredibly thoughtful and innovative. When I first studied in her lab, it took a really good month for me to fully understand her 2-hour-1 studies. And I'm a pretty smart woman, just ask my mom. But most of all, I appreciate her commitment to paving the way for women and minorities in science. While inviting me to join her research team, she not only created ways for me to work alongside experts in the area, but she allowed others to engage in my interests and research ideas. I see this as an exemplary quality, especially in this time where we desperately need to listen and learn from each other. Without further ado, please join me in thanking Dr. Nugent.
We have now come to the final award on the program, the 2020 Faculty Mentor Award winner. This award goes annually to an individual who exemplifies exceptional mentorship of junior full-time and clinical faculty. We have many senior faculty who are qualified for this award, and the competition is always stiff. This year's award goes to an individual who, though short of stature, is a true powerhouse, an extreme athlete who has shown the perseverance to finish many long cross-country ski and biking events, as well as the perseverance to obtain continuous NIH funding over the past 20 years. She was recently promoted to full professor. She co-runs a nationally acclaimed integrated clinical research program. Following in the footsteps of her own mentor, Dr. Henrietta Leonard, she is respected and admired by her colleagues, patients, and trainees. This year's award goes to Dr. Jen Freeman. Congratulations, Jen. Henrietta would have been proud of her own mentees' accomplishments. Jen and Abby Garcia are 2020 and 2019 winners for carrying on her legacy. That concludes this portion of the program this evening. You will now move to your individual training directors' virtual programs. Once again, I would like to congratulate all of our graduates and their families on their wonderful accomplishments.
My name is Dr. Beth McQuaid, and I'm the director of the Clinical Psychology Training Consortium. I want to first extend a special welcome to the families and other supporters who are watching tonight. I'd like to congratulate our award winners, Andrea Gould, who is the recipient of the Toy Caldwell Colbert Teaching Award, Nicole Nugent, who received the Psychology Research Mentor Award, and Jen Freeman, who is the recipient of the Faculty Mentoring Award. Congratulations. The Clinical Psychology Training Programs at Brown is responsible for the training of the pre-doctoral clinical psychology residents and postdoctoral fellows. This year in particular, I want to thank all of the trainees for their resilience in adapting to the circumstances of having a public health crisis disrupt one of their most critical years in training. It has been humbling to see how flexible, thoughtful, and truly committed you all have been to continuing your training during this time. I also want to thank the faculty. The innovative adaptation of training methods to the current circumstances of the COVID-19 pandemic has been astonishing. Your commitment to providing supervision and meaningful training experiences to our residents and fellows during this time has been one of the silver linings of this experience for us all. Before proceeding to the certificates, I have many people whom I would like to thank that helped the training program run. The 25 members of the training committee, the senior postdoctoral fellows, Sarah Morris, Emily Panza, and Brian Castelluccio, the internship training committee representatives, Deirdre O'Shea and Patricia Wong, and the 13 other clinical psychology residents who served on committees. I want to thank our Associate Director of Admissions and Didactics, Greta Francis, our Director of the Research Fellowship Program, Elisa Jalalian, our Director of the Clinical Neuropsychology Specialty Program, Steve Correa, and Associate Director, Jen Davis, the track coordinators for the Postdoctoral Fellowship, Chris Hauk, Karen Francione, and Graham Thomas, the 4 track coordinators for the internship, Lauren Weinstock, Karen Oliver, Jen Freeman, and Megan Spencer, and the co-chairs of the Diversity Committee, Ernestine Jennings and Jacob Vandenberg. I'd also like to thank Dr. Tony Spirito for his support of the training program as Director of the Division of Clinical Psychology. Dr. Steve Rasmussen, as well, for his support of the department training programs and for the value that he places on the discipline of psychology. And last, Kelly and Brett, who run everything and have managed to continue to do so seamlessly during this time. Thank you. We have a couple of additional awards and recognitions to mention. I want to take a moment to recognize the decades of outstanding service provided by Dr. Ellen Costello. Dr. Costello, who's worked at Butler Hospital for 30 years, has truly been an anchor of training in the adult track, providing individual and group supervision on the Women's DBT Partial Program. One colleague recently described her as truly a legend. We wish her the best as she retires from this position. I would also like to recognize Dr. Paul Malloy, who's also retiring from Butler this year. Dr. Malloy has been an exemplary clinician, an outstanding scholar, and a revered supervisor and teacher in clinical neuropsychology. Dr. Malloy will be truly missed, but we wish him the best. I would like to make a special mention of the 2 training faculty members who received the Dean's Excellence in Teaching Award from the medical school, Karen Francione and Eileen Johnson. And my last award is the Education Committee Award. This specific award is to honor full-time and research faculty who are also involved in substantial teaching efforts. This year, I am happy to present the Education Committee Award to Dr. Greta Francis. Dr. Francis has made many substantial contributions to training over the past few decades, serving as child track coordinator of the internship for many years, and then associate director of the program, helping to run everything, including the critical task of internship admissions. Dr. Francis will be stepping down this year from her training duties as she focuses on continuing to run Lifespan School Solutions and also focusing on her national contributions, such as service to the American Board of Clinical Child and Adolescent Psychology. Greta has been one of my wisest and most trusted colleagues, and I give her my most sincere thanks and congratulate her with this award. Tonight, we will be recognizing both clinical psychology residents and postdoctoral fellows. The internship program began in 1975 with 5 clinical psychology residents, and this year we had 26 clinical psychology residents. Of those, 7 will remain for postdoctoral fellowship training within our system at Brown, and 2 will be joining the Center for Alcohol and Addiction Studies at Brown. Now let's get to the awarding of the certificates. We'll do this by track, beginning with the adult track, followed by behavioral medicine, child, and neuropsychology tracks. Each of the track coordinators will introduce and congratulate their residents. I also want to encourage all of you to make ample use of the chat function to cheer on the graduates. We'll begin with Lauren Weinstock, who will be introducing the adult track of the internship.
Hi, I'm Lauren Weinstock. I'm the Adult Track Coordinator for the Internship Training Program and Associate Professor here in the Department of Psychiatry at Brown, and I'll be presenting our Adult Track graduates today. First, we have Allison Athey. Allison comes to us from Case Western Reserve University and is headed to a postdoctoral fellowship at Johns Hopkins. About Allison, her supervisors have noted that they're impressed by her ability to connect with veterans from very different backgrounds from her own, and she doesn't back down from a challenging case. In fact, she seems most excited to take on complex clients, and that attitude has been appreciated by her supervisors in our program. Next, we have Alex Brake. Alex comes to us from the University of Kentucky and will be staying here at Brown for his postdoctoral fellowship. About Alex, his supervisors have noticed that his earnest approach to clinical work and research, combined with warmth and intelligence, has made him an outstanding psychologist trainee and pleasure to supervise. Alex also gets the award for fastest completion of clinical documentation and other administrative tasks. Sometimes he would be so fast and efficient that by the time his supervisor typed out a signature on one note, another one would be waiting for them to sign. Next, we have Michael Crow. Michael comes to us from the University of Georgia and is headed up the road to Boston for a postdoctoral fellowship at the National Center for PTSD. About Michael, his supervisors have noted that it's a pleasure to engage him in great nerdy conversations about stats and psychometrics and research, and that the conversations are always energetic, interesting, and fun. He also wowed the stats folks at QSP this past winter with his ability to deliver a highly informative and engaging speed talk on bass-ackwards approaches to construct measurement. Next, we have Chris Hughes. Chris came to us from Rutgers in New Jersey and will be staying here at Brown for a postdoctoral fellowship. And about Chris, his supervisors, particularly on the women's partial program, noted it was an extremely rewarding experience to supervise him. Talking DBT with Chris was a lot of fun, and his supervisors felt that they learned as much from him as he learned from them, if not more. Next, we have Holly Levin Aspenson. Holly comes to us from the University of Notre Dame and will be staying here at Brown for her postdoctoral fellowship. And about Holly, her supervisors have noted during SCID training, Holly always did such a great job of adapting her questions along the way, trying to get information from all different angles and thinking through all of the information to come up with a clear conceptualization. She had the patience of a saint. She kept going through the toughest of these evaluations in such a calm and composed manner, and she really has a knack for making patients feel at ease. Next, we have Gabby Lopez. Gabby came to us from the University of New Mexico and will be staying here as a postdoc at the Center for Alcohol and Addiction Studies. About Gabby, one of the fun things that her supervisors noticed is how she adapted to the New England winter through acquiring apparently a very warm jacket. She showed such calm and poise while wrapping up her dissertation with a cross-disciplinary team, but her supervisors felt that this fact wasn't quite as fun as hearing about her jacket. Next, we have Sam Mizell, who comes to us from the University of Buffalo and will be staying on at the Center for Alcohol and Addiction Studies for his postdoctoral fellowship. Sam's supervisors very much appreciate his great sense of humor, from his jokes about supervision with the two Sams to his skill set in delivering evidence-based therapy to the veterans. His supervisors noticed that his kindness and compassion brought one of the veterans who he saw back in the beginning of the year to come back and ask him to work with him during these trying times of COVID-19. Next, we have Megan Rogers from Florida State University. She'll be moving on to New York City for a postdoctoral fellowship at Mount Sinai Beth Israel Hospital. About Megan, her supervisors have noticed that her clinical skills shone through, particularly on the women's partial hospital rotation, and the women always spoke so highly of her. She is a dedicated soccer player and has a great dry sense of humor, which is well suited to a supervisor from New York. Next, we have Britt Stevenson. Britt came to us from the University of Central Florida and will be moving on to the University of Minnesota for her postdoctoral fellowship. About Britt, her supervisors have noticed that she's a highly skilled clinician who formed a strong connection with her patients. They also noted that she trained for her first ever marathon this winter and spring, but due to COVID, the event was canceled. Yet with determination and persistence, she ran her own marathon with family and friends virtually cheering her on. Congratulations to Britt on this awesome accomplishment. And with that, I want to say congratulations to all of our adult track residents on their graduation, and I'll pass it off to Dr. Karen Oliver, who will be presenting for the Health Psychology Behavioral Medicine track.
Good afternoon. I'm Karen Oliver, the Behavioral Medicine Track Coordinator for the Clinical Psychology Internship Training Program. It is my great pleasure to announce these 6 outstanding graduates in our Behavioral Medicine program. First, we have Jamie Coffino. Jamie came to us from the University at Albany, SUNY. Jamie is described as someone who will make major inroads in the intersection of clinical psychology and the media. She sees the big picture and has exciting ideas about how to translate behavior change principles and clinical science into larger scale adoption on the population level. Jamie has accepted a postdoctoral fellowship at New York University. Kara Herbeter. Kara came to us from University of Massachusetts, Boston. Kara is described as being a thoughtful psychologist who is passionate about not only helping the people she works with, but advocating for change on a systems level to make a broader impact. She is inquisitive, engaged, and deeply supportive of others. Kara has accepted a postdoctoral fellowship at the Boston VA Medical Center. Next, we have Nancy Zhao. Nancy came to us from Northwestern University Medical School. Nancy is described as being a brilliant, thoughtful, collaborative, and creative scientist. She serves as an ongoing source of support and information for her peers, and she is a great social organizer. Nancy will remain at Brown as a postdoctoral fellow on the Cardiovascular Behavioral Medicine T32. Deanna Kaplan. Deanna came to us from the University of Arizona. Deanna is described as being what future colleagues' dreams are made of. She is bright, thoughtful, enthusiastic, and compassionate, and she puts her heart into everything she does. Deanna will remain at Brown as a postdoctoral fellow on an F-32 training grant. Roman Politsky. Roman came to us from the University of Arizona. Roman is described as bringing a truly unique perspective to his work and thinking outside of the box. He has a special knack for helping patients to feel understood and for helping people to feel more at ease. Roman will remain at Brown as a postdoctoral fellow in the Research Fellowship Program. Finally, we have Patricia Wong. Patricia came to us from the University of Pittsburgh. Patricia is described as being an exceptional scholar and a lovely human being. She maintains a calm demeanor no matter the circumstance and brings levity to situations in a way that is both unexpected and highly appreciated. Patricia will be remaining at Brown as a postdoctoral fellow on the Child Mental Health T32. Congratulations to each of you, and thank you again for your outstanding contributions this year. I will now hand things over to Dr. Jennifer Freeman for the Child Track presentations.
Good afternoon. I am Jennifer Freeman, Child Track Coordinator for the Clinical Psychology Internship Training Program. Before introducing each trainee, I would like to say that this group is smart, funny, accomplished, kind, and according to their peers, full of superpowers, which certainly must have come in handy this training year. As challenging as the last few months have been, this group continually impressed me with their thoughtfulness about the tough choices we collectively had to make, their ongoing dedication to their work, and their continued engagement with one another and their supervisors. It's now my pleasure to announce our first graduate in the Child Track, Hannah Doucette. Hannah came to us from Northeastern University. Hannah's peers note her passion for the kids she works with, as well as her consistent ability to be flexible and unflappable no matter the circumstances, including having no kitchen during the first third of her internship. Hannah is an excellent colleague, researcher, and clinician who consistently rises above expectations, providing creative ways to engage challenging teens and provide expert clinical knowledge for families. Hannah will remain at Brown as a postdoctoral fellow in the Center for Alcohol and Addiction Studies. Our next graduate is Amy Egbert. Amy came to us from Loyola University of Chicago. Amy's peers describe her as an outstanding clinician and thoughtful researcher who is energetic, determined, and a wonderful cook and host. Several of the pediatric psychology internship rotations underwent transitions, and despite these changes, supervisors often remarked on her approach as a calm expert in a variety of settings, while also noting how self-motivated and productive she continued to be in her research endeavors. Amy will remain at Brown as a postdoctoral fellow on the cardiovascular behavioral medicine T32. Hannah Frank. Hannah came to us from Temple University. Hannah is described by her peers as a superhero. Hannah lives the exposure lifestyle so authentically that her clients, colleagues, and supervisors can't help but feel motivated and inspired by all that she does. Her extraordinary productivity on all fronts during quarantine is a perfect example. Hannah actively engages scientific principles in her clinical work and brings in clinical work to enliven and invigorate her science. Hannah will remain at Brown as a postdoctoral fellow on the Child Mental Health T32. Next, we have Gloria Hahn. Gloria came to us from Vanderbilt University. Described by her peers as a terrifically creative stats queen who is going to change the world, Gloria made child track history when she helped lobby for parity across MD and PhD trainee office spaces. She has a unique mix of passion, compassion, energy, and intellect that is both gentle and galvanizing. And don't forget to follow her dog, Charlotte, on Instagram. Gloria has accepted a postdoctoral fellowship at the Yale Child Study Center. Hannah Lawrence. Hannah came to us from the University of Maine. Hannah is described by her peers as superhuman. She brings a wealth of wonderful ideas and contributions and is always up for a challenge, including single-handedly creating an interactive map of all training sites for resident applicants this year. From day one, she has successfully raised the bar for hard-to-engage patients and in peer supervision, while simultaneously collecting data for future papers and submitting a grant application, which I recently heard she received. Hannah has accepted a postdoctoral fellowship at McLean Hospital, Harvard Medical School for next year. Next is Casey Peterson. Casey came to us from the University of Kansas. Casey is described by her peers as a thoughtful, honest, and always genuine cat lover. She seems to have energy and extroversion to spare. She is passionate and skillful as a researcher and a strong and fierce advocate for her clients whose commitment, knowledge, and energy will undoubtedly improve the treatment of vulnerable and underserved juvenile justice populations. Casey has accepted a fellowship at the University of Indiana School of Medicine. And finally, our last graduate, Jenny Warnick. Jenny came to us from the University of Florida with a background as a professional dancer, and this became obvious as she exhibited poise, grace, and flexibility while navigating the challenges of this year. In addition to being an outstanding clinician who is described by her peers as empathic, warm, and genuinely caring, she is a remarkable scientist who submitted an F-32 application and a great dog parent to Bailey, who some of us enjoyed meeting on Zoom. Jenny will remain at Brown as a postdoctoral fellow in the Research Fellowship Program. Congratulations to all the graduates. I will now hand things over to Dr. Megan Spencer for the neuropsychology track presentations.
Good afternoon. I'm Megan Spencer, Neuropsychology Track Coordinator for the Clinical Psychology Internship Program. It's my pleasure to announce our first graduate in neuropsychology, Emily Hollowell. Emily came to us from the University of Georgia. Emily has a knack for managing nearly anything with grace and ease. Throughout the year, Emily demonstrated calm and competence in any patient situation, no matter how difficult. Likewise, her work often rivaled that of others far more advanced in their training. We're grateful and happy that Emily will be continuing her training at Brown at the Providence VA in September as a postdoctoral fellow. Our next graduate is Amy Karstens. Amy came to us from the University of Illinois, Chicago. Amy's tenacious and brimming with ideas. She was also the recipient of a Brown training grant during her internship year for her research in Alzheimer's disease. It was so enjoyable to see her grow into the talented neuropsychologist in training she is today. Amy was also instrumental in developing educational and interventional materials in support of the COVID-19 response for Care New England. We'll miss her as she moves on, especially her funny stories and wonderful personality. Amy has accepted a neuropsychology postdoctoral fellowship at the Mayo Clinic. Our next graduate is Michelle Castle. Michelle came to us from the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Michelle has proven herself over the past year as a talented neuropsychologist in training. Patients comment on how much they enjoy working with her. It's hard not to gravitate to Michelle's upbeat personality. She's a joy to supervise and will be very missed. Michelle has accepted a postdoctoral fellowship at the San Francisco VA Medical Center. And finally, our last graduate is Deidre O'Shea. Deidre came to us from the University of Florida. She's been a pleasure to work with since arriving at Brown. Deidre's quiet demeanor hides a very dynamic sense of humor. She's been a joy to supervise. We're so happy she's decided to stay at Brown to complete a 2-year postdoctoral fellowship in neuropsychology at Rhode Island Hospital. I'll now hand things over to Dr. Beth McQuaid for the Postdoctoral Fellowship Training Program.
I'm happy to now congratulate the postdoctoral fellows who are graduating from our program this year. The postdoc program was formally established in 1992 with 17 postdocs. Our fellows take part in clinical training sponsored by the teaching hospitals, as well as research training funded by both faculty research grants and 3, but now 4, NIH-funded institutional training grants. These latter training grants provided over $1 million in support this year. There are 55 postdocs in total this year, and over 650 fellows have been trained since the inception of the program. 29 postdocs will be graduating this year. 15 will remain here as Brown faculty, staff psychologists, or in research or staff positions at the affiliated hospitals. 9 will be taking positions elsewhere. And because graduation is so early, as happens every year, 5 are still making final decisions about their positions. Now I'd like to get to the awarding of certificates and introductions of the postdoctoral fellows. I'm going to begin by introducing the graduates of the APA-accredited clinical psychology program. Our first graduate is Casey Catlin, who came from the University of Nevada, Reno. Primary supervisor was Jane Metrick. Casey is a highly skilled and effective therapist with extensive experience in evidence-based behavioral treatments. Dr. Metrick says that Casey is particularly effective at forming strong collaborative working alliances with a range of patients, including those with complex psychopathology. She's still finalizing her plans for next year. Our next graduate, Haley Dunn, came to us from the University of Rhode Island. Her supervisor, Kevin McKay, says that Haley is an exceptional clinician and colleague. She truly knows how to connect with patients and how to utilize that connection to move them towards their goal. Her independence and reliability are very impressive. Throughout her fellowship, she's functioned more like a colleague and less like a trainee. Finally, her entrepreneurship is remarkable. Haley's built connections throughout Rhode Island and beyond to create a blossoming career as a consultant and clinician, and we all wish her the best of luck in her position as an external evaluator for the state and community level prevention policies, programs, and practices, and as a private consultant. Alyssa Friedman joined us from William James College. Her supervisor, Margie Crozier, says that Alyssa has been an incredible team player throughout the fellowship year, always contributing to the team discussions about our veterans in a manner that shows the rapport and the concern that she has for her cases. We are so excited to see where her next adventure takes her as a licensed psychologist. Caroline Holman joins us from Fordham University, the Rose Hill campus. Her primary supervisor, Jennifer Lambert, had many positive things to say. Caroline is a talented and caring clinician, enthusiastic learner, a wonderful team player, a skilled teacher, an excellent writer, and has shown incredible resilience in adapting to recent challenges. We're lucky to be able to continue to call her a colleague as she stays on in her new capacity as a staff psychologist in the Providence VA Medical Center. Sarah Johnson joins us from Northeastern University. Her primary supervisor, Lisa Frieda, reports that Sarah is a terrific clinician and a highly respected colleague. And in record time, she finished her postdoc, got licensed, welcomed a new baby, and accepted a staff position with us. We're thrilled she's joined our team and appreciate her wealth of knowledge, poise, and the equanimity she brings to the job. She's joining us as a staff psychologist at Lifespan School Solutions at the Bradley School in Providence. Susanna Kondrath came to us from the Fuller Graduate School of Psychology. Her primary supervisor, Karen Francione, says that Susanna is an exceptional member of the PDPR team. She's brought her warmth, knowledge, and considerable skills as a therapist. She will undoubtedly be a tremendous asset in her next position, which is at the General Mental Health Team at the Northampton VA Medical Center. Amber Madden joined us from the University of Georgia. Her primary supervisor, Heather Frank, says that Amber is not afraid to dig deep and compassionately stay with her patients in their trauma work while balancing a great sense of boundaries. Her TRS Building 14 team considers a valued colleague, impressed by her willingness to take on all challenges with grace, humor, and clinical wisdom beyond her years. Amber is still finalizing her plans for next year. Sarah Morris came to us from the University of Pennsylvania. Her primary supervisor, Abby Garcia, says that Sarah is an outstanding therapist and colleague. She has treated some of the most challenging cases in Park's partial program with such success that the other attendings have frequently commented that they forgot she was a fellow. We look forward to Dr. Morris joining our faculty so that we can continue to benefit from and marvel at her clinical skills and collegiality. She will be a staff psychologist at Bradley Hospital and the Pediatric Anxiety Research Center. Maz Mullah came to us from the University of Alabama at Tuscaloosa. Maz has demonstrated an excellency as both a clinician and as a researcher during this fellowship. He'll be greatly missed by his peers at the Providence VA Medical Center and throughout the system. Maz is going to be a staff psychologist at the Atlanta VA and clinical faculty at the Emory University School of Medicine. Zach Schindorf joins us from the University of Montana. His primary supervisor is Karen Camuso. Karen says that Zach has earned a reputation as a compassionate clinician and collaborative team member with a strong research background and interest in group development. We are so pleased that he'll be staying on with us in the Bradley Brown system as a staff psychologist at Bradley Hospital. Vanessa Wu came to Brown from the California School of Professional Psychology, Alliant International University. Her supervisor, Tracy Morgan, says that Vanessa has been an absolute joy to have in our clinical research team this past year. Her work is invariably thoughtful, evidence-based, and grounded in genuine caring for her patients. As a supervisor, Vanessa gave Tracy almost no opportunity to question her judgment, except that instead of moving back to lovely and warm Hawaii, she's agreed to stay here with us in Rhode Island. We're tremendously lucky to have her, and we look forward to many fruitful years together. Vanessa will be a staff psychologist at the Rhode Island Hospital Partial Hospital Program.
Good afternoon. I am Stephen Correa, Director of the Postdoctoral Clinical Neuropsychology Specialty Program, or CNSP. The 2-year CNSP Fellowship is accredited by the American Psychological Association as a specialty program in clinical neuropsychology and includes both adult-focused and pediatric-focused fellows. It is my pleasure to announce our first graduate in the CNSP program this year, Brian Castelluccio. Brian joined us from the University of Connecticut. His supervisor, Nicole McLaughlin at Butler Hospital, said how Brian is an exceptional neuropsychologist who has been a fantastic addition to our inpatient units at the hospital over the past 2 years, and staff have commented appreciatively about his ability to think clearly and talk about neuropsychology in a way that is understandable and enhances patient care. He has been a pleasure to supervise, and we are thrilled to have Brian and his new COVID-safe bow tie remain at Butler. Brian will be going to Butler Hospital in their memory and aging program as a staff neuropsychologist. Our next graduate is Laura Korthauer. Laura joined us from the University of Wisconsin in Milwaukee. Laura's supervisor at Rhode Island Hospital, Jeffrey Tremont, has mentioned that it has been a complete pleasure to supervise Laura during her clinical and research fellowship. She has been highly productive in her research activities and a very strong contributor to our clinical program. If this was not enough, she found time to deliver a beautiful baby girl and read over 300 books last year alone. She has become a valued colleague, and we are thrilled that Laura will be joining our neuropsychology program at Lifespan in the fall. Laura will be going to Rhode Island Hospital as a staff neuropsychologist. Our next graduate is Jacob LaFoe. Jacob came to us from the University of Florida. His supervisor, Megan Spencer at the Providence VA, notes that Jacob has shown himself to be a problem solver by consistently identifying ways to improve the efficiency and quality of our programs. He has been thoughtful and creative in developing solutions for streamlining services and procedures. Jacob's work ethic and positive, friendly, and caring personality define him. He will be greatly missed in the VA neuropsychology clinic. Jacob is in the process of finalizing a position for next year. Lastly, I would like to present our graduate, Kristen Westbecker. Kristen came to us from Seton Hall University. Her supervisor at the Providence VA, Donald Labby, has said that Kristen is as much a talented neuropsychologist as she is hardworking and fun. She grew the VA cognitive training program exponentially during her 2-year fellowship and has been instrumental in designing the VA teleneuropsychology protocol in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Kristen's talents and her peppy and positive demeanor will be missed greatly. Kristen will be going to New York University's Langone Health Center to be a neuropsychologist. The neuropsychology faculty congratulates all of you and extends best wishes as you embark on your independent careers. We will miss you. For the next segment, I am pleased to introduce the director of our Research Fellowship Program, Elissa Jalalian.
Good afternoon. I'm Elissa Jalalian, Director for the Research Fellowship Program. The Research Fellowships are funded through faculty research grants, through existing NIH-funded T32 fellowships, or through fellowships to individual trainees. Today, I will be presenting certificates to the graduates who are funded through faculty research grants and individual fellowships. Our first graduate in the Research Fellowship Program is Soo-Young Kim. Soo-Young came to us from the University of Akron. Her supervisor, Nicole Nugent, has commented that Soo-Young has provided amazing mentorship to research staff, guiding all of the lab through multiple transitions while remaining ever calm, ever present, and available. In her unflustered way, she juggled rapid mastery of clinical interviews, psychophysiological assessments, eye tracking, ear coding, and a host of analytic skills, all the while developing a first-of-its-kind intervention for refugee use, which has already benefited Rhode Island refugees. Soo-Young has accepted a position as a psychologist and instructor at Mass General Hospital and Harvard Medical School. Next is Tamira Nelson. Tamira came to us from Clark University for a 1-year fellowship, working with Cynthia Battle on projects focused on women's perinatal mental health. Since leaving Brown in the summer of 2019, she has completed a 1-year visiting professorship at Bentley University. Tamira has recently accepted a position as an assistant professor at Rutgers University at the Camden campus. Erin O'Connor. Erin came to us from Boston University. Her supervisor, Jennifer Freeman, has described that Erin's professional talents for supervisory skills, collegiality, thoughtful and impressive approach to science, productivity with grant and paper writing, excellent clinical skills are not surprising given her unflappable, dependable, and caring personality. This challenging year has underscored that the Pediatric Anxiety Research Program simply could not function without her. And we will always know who to go to if we need a sweater, delivery of virtual therapy in a tent, or a winning bake-off treat for a stakeholder meeting. Erin has accepted a position as a staff psychologist at Bradley Hospital. And finally, Craig Rodriguez Cejas. Craig came to us from SUNY at Stony Brook and was supervised by Mark Zimmerman. Craig has been described as not only an amazing scientist, who unfortunately will be leaving us for a top-tier faculty position this year, but he's also been a genuine joy to supervise clinically. We will all miss Craig's creativity and energy and sincerely wish him all the best in his well-deserved faculty position. Craig has accepted a position as assistant professor at the University of Michigan in the clinical science area. I would like to now present certificates to the graduates from individually funded fellowships. First, we have Stephanie Goldstein. Stephanie came to us from Drexel University. Her supervisor, Graham Thomas, has described her as a remarkable scientist and colleague. How many postdocs can claim to have submitted an R01 as PI, much less score at the 5th percentile on their first try? We couldn't be happier that Steph will be remaining at Brown, transitioning to the position of assistant professor for Ren's research. And our final graduate is Jacqueline Nessie. Jackie came to us from the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. Her supervisor, Anthony Spirito, has commented that Jackie has epitomized the notion of grace under pressure during her postdoctoral fellowship, both personally and professionally. Despite being so early in her career, she has established herself as an expert in the area of adolescent mental health and social media. Jackie is still in the process of finalizing her plans for next year, but we're very hopeful that she'll be remaining at Brown, funded by a K Award. I will now hand things over to Dr. Anthony Spirito for the Child Mental Health T32 presentations.
Good afternoon. My name is Tony Spirito, and I'm Principal Investigator of the Child Mental Health T32. I am pleased to present this year's graduates of our T32 Postdoctoral Training Program in Child Mental Health Research. The program has been continuously funded by NIMH for 26 years, and many of our graduates have gone on to become successful academic researchers, both here in our department and at other universities. We have 6 graduates tonight who have distinguished themselves during their fellowship, and I'd like to present them now. It's my pleasure to announce our first graduate, Alexandra Bettis. Alex joined us from Vanderbilt University. Alex's supervisor, Richard Liu, notes that in her time at Brown, Alex has submitted a K application, received funding from the American Psychological Foundation and the Klingenstein Foundation, and received an early career award from the Anxiety and Depression Association of America. She is generous with her time in fostering the development of others and has come to serve as a role model for the research assistants in the lab. Alex will be taking a position in the Department of Psychiatry at Vanderbilt Medical Center. Our next graduate is Anastasia Kudinova. Anastasia came to us from Binghamton University. Anastasia has traveled halfway around the world to complete her graduate and postgraduate training and pursue her interest in a research career. Myself and Dan Dickstein, who served as our supervisors during our fellowship, have been very impressed by her breadth and depth of knowledge. Anastasia was successful in obtaining a highly competitive K Award on her first submission to NIMH. Her grasp of the literature will serve her well as she embarks on her academic career as a faculty member at Brown. Our next graduate is Von Marie Rodriguez Guzman. Von Marie joined us from Ponce Health Sciences University in Puerto Rico. Her supervisor, Nicole Nugent, notes that Von Marie's commitment to learning, science, and academics is truly remarkable. During her fellowship, her enthusiasm for learning was nothing short of inspiring. On a personal note, Nicole notes that Von Marie is extremely empathic and has an amazing sense of humor that has brought light into my life and our research team time and time again. Von Marie will be remaining in Providence and working as a behavioral health clinician for the Providence Community Health Centers in Capitol Hill. Our next graduate is Danielle Sipsop. Danielle came to us from the Medical University of South Carolina. Danielle's supervisor, Steve Scheinkoff, notes that she is a gifted clinician and is able to bring her clinical insights to bear on challenging clinical research questions. It has been such a pleasure to mentor Danielle during her child psychiatry training. She has added to our clinical research program, helping us to more deeply consider complex psychiatric issues in autism and developmental disabilities. We wish her all the best. Danielle will be working with the Developmental Disorder Service at Maine Behavioral Healthcare as a child psychiatrist. Our next graduate is Elizabeth Thompson. Liz came to us from the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. Jennifer Wolf and myself served as Liz's primary supervisor. Liz has used her fellowship to cultivate and expand upon her strong research and clinical skills. She's been very successful in using her clinical expertise to help establish a strong foundation upon which to build a clinical research program. Liz obtained a K Award from the NIMH and will continue on at Brown as an assistant professor. She has also obtained funding from the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention and will continue that work here also. Our final graduate is Emily Warren. Emily came to us from Vanderbilt University. Emily is a basic laboratory researcher. Her supervisor, Eric Morrow, notes that Emily, who is also an Autism Science Foundation Award winner, is a critical and detail-oriented scientist. Her memory and knowledge for the literature and her own data are truly impressive. Like most laboratory researchers, she's continuing her research for another year with Dr. Morrow. He looks forward to continuing to work with her. Congratulations to all of our graduates and our best wishes for the future. Next, Rena Wing will present the graduates of the Cardiovascular Behavioral Medicine T32.
Good afternoon. I'm Rena Wing, Director of the Cardiovascular Behavioral Medicine T32. Today, I'm pleased to be presenting certificates to the graduates from this program. Our first graduate is Emily Gathright. Emily came to us from Kent State University. Her supervisor, Lori Scott Sheldon, commented that Emily is a truly remarkable person who's humble and unassuming, but incredibly thoughtful, methodical, and detailed in her research. It's been Lori's great pleasure to serve as her mentor. Lori is thrilled that she has chosen the Centers for Behavioral and Preventive Medicine to continue her research training and development, and we welcome her wholeheartedly to the faculty. Emily will remain at Brown as an assistant professor of Prenz Research. Next is Kaylani Olson. Kaylani came to us from Ohio State University. As her supervisor, I would like to say that we are so happy that Kaylani received a K-23, and we look forward to her continued contributions to the Weight Control and Diabetes Research Center. Kaylani's research focuses on reducing body image dissatisfaction associated with obesity, but she also finds time to conduct studies related to sleep apnea, the interactions between obesity and cognitive performance, and lifestyle interventions for prevention of Alzheimer's. We love working with her at the center and excited that she'll be here for many more years. Kaylani will remain at Brown, transitioning to the position of assistant professor, Prenz Research. And next is Emily Panza. Emily came to us from Rutgers University, New Jersey Piscataway, New Brunswick. I've also had the pleasure of supervising Emily. Emily succeeded in getting a K-23 award on her very first submission. This grant will allow her to continue her research on sexual minority women with obesity, but she's also involved in a large number of other research projects. And she serves on a variety of departmental committees, including as the Senior Fellow on the Research Fellowship Program at Brown Medical School. Emily will also be remaining at Brown, transitioning to the position of Assistant Professor of Prenz Research. Congratulations to all three of our graduates.
Congratulations to everyone, all of our graduating residents and fellows, their friends and families, and all of our faculty who are the heart and soul of this program. Thank you all and have a wonderful evening.